Okay, so as promised, I put up another poll with another 2 selections for a tutorial workshop, and today's winner was the floating shelves. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna make 1 floating shelf, but obviously in your home, you can make dozens of them if you need to. You can make them any size that you like, anything goes, but I'm gonna show you how to basically go ahead and make this floating shelf. So in front of me, I have 1x4, I have 1x2, and I have 2x2. It's all number 2 knotty pine. Over here, I have a drill with a countersink attachment. I have my other drill, which just has my drill bit on it to put my screws in. And I also have my nailer with 1¼ inch brad nails. I have my measuring tape, I have my pencil, I have some wood glue, and I have my sandpaper. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna measure these out. I'm using some offcuts right now because, as you know, it's not really safe to be going out for unnecessary reasons. So I'm trying to use what I have in my offcut pile and just cutting it down to fit, okay? So what I'm gonna do first is I'm just gonna figure out exactly what this measurement is. So this is 68, so we can take this to 34 if we want, but let's take it to 33 just because when we cut it, it's gonna be 1/8 of an inch that we're going to want to account for the blade. So we'll just take it to 33, why not? Okay, and we'll start with that. I'm gonna go over and take some cuts. You've seen me cut with the miter saw, but I want to make it very clear. When I do my saw course, for instance, it's very important. When you mark out where it is that you want to make a cut. So for instance, like here is 33 inches. I've showed you guys as well how to use a straight edge, and I'll show you again. I'm gonna take my straight edge. Just gonna draw on down, okay? So that I have a full line to work with. Now, you don't want to go and cut right on this line, okay? Because this blade here is 1/8 of an inch thick, sometimes a little bit thicker. So if you cut right on this line, you're gonna lose 1/16 of an inch on either side of this blade. So what you wanna do is you wanna make sure that the largest part of the blade, which is this part right here, that part is on the outside, just on the outside of this line, okay? And if you come in close, I really want you to see how this is right on the outside of that line. Can you see that? Okay, that way when I cut, which you never want to start the blade when you're down on the wood. You always want to start the blade when you're up. And if this is a larger piece of wood, you want to start back here, come down, and then push it on back once you've gone and cut through, okay? But with this here, we're just going to go ahead and make our cut. We've measured it out. We know we're on the right side of the blade, and we're just going to go ahead. It is always good if you can still see the faintest little bit of your pencil line, okay? And then you can go ahead and remeasure that and make sure that you have 33 inches. So we're gonna do this twice. Okay guys, so I also have my 1x2, which is actually 3/4 by 1.5 inches. And I want a piece for the front of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just measure this out to 33 inches. Okay, and then I'm gonna go over to the miter saw and I'm gonna make my cut again. Okay guys, so now I have 3 pieces cut to 33 inches, okay? And what I wanna do is this is gonna be the start. So you can cut everything in advance if you like, but for today I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm gonna assemble this right now, these 3 pieces, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get my measurements for my next pieces, okay? The next pieces are actually going to be the bracket, other than the side pieces, so we're just going to kind of go from there. So for now, what I want to do is sand, okay? So I have a piece of sandpaper, it's 150 grit, you can use anywhere from 120 to 150, and you're just going to go ahead, you're going to sand with the grain of the wood, not against the grain of the wood, you want to go with the grain of the wood, okay? And what you really want to do, guys, is you want to get off any fray. And if you come close, you'll see any of the fray that's maybe happened from the saw. You just want to go ahead and sand and get rid of that. And also you just want to break these edges a little bit. And then on the face grain of the wood here, you want to sand that as well because you're going to be applying a stain onto this and you want it to actually penetrate the wood. You don't want it to actually sit on top of the wood. You want it to actually penetrate. So what you're doing is when you're sanding and you're making that abrasion, you're opening up the pores of the wood, which is going to allow the stain to properly penetrate when you apply it, okay? Okay, so now what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna glue and shoot. So I know this sounds kind of crazy, but wood glue, once it actually hardens, is stronger than the bonds of glue itself. So sometimes if I've even made like a tabletop and if the wood shrinks and sometimes it will split, it won't necessarily split where I have gone and glued the two joints together. It's going to pick the weakest point in the wood, and sometimes that's not the glue joint, that is actually somewhere even in the middle of the board where there's maybe a check that's already happened. So right now I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna glue up where I'm gonna be attaching these butt joints. That's what it is when you butt two pieces of wood together. It's called a butt joint. So I'm gonna glue where I'm gonna be making those butt joints. Then I'm gonna take my nailer over here, the Airstrike, and I'm gonna put in some nails just to tack it. And then once that glue dries, it's gonna be a secure, well, hopefully a secure joint, okay? So this is my front piece, and you get to choose here. There's kind of like a gnarly little knot right here. You might want people to see that if you're going for a more rustic looking shelf. You might want that knot to be at the front of your shelf, right? Because basically what's gonna happen right now is we're gonna glue underneath, and then we're gonna glue on top. And then this is gonna make our shelf, okay? So if you want people to see that knot, put that out. If you don't, put that at the back. Okay, so it's really up to you. Sometimes I like knots, so I'm gonna have this gnarly little knot out. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run a bead of glue. Honestly, like at the end there, that was even a little bit too much, okay? You don't need a ton. I'll just take some of that off because it's just gonna squish out. And I'm gonna put this down, right? I'm just gonna flip it over, because obviously I'm gonna make that a little more complicated for myself, just so that you guys can see what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm gonna line it up. Okay, so I can just feel with my fingers that it's nice and lined up on the edge. It's nice and lined up on the front. And then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put some nails in. Honestly, this is probably the trickiest part because as you can see, I'm having to kind of balance this on a small piece of wood while I'm trying to hold these two pieces together and while I'm using the nail gun. Okay, so the glue is always easier to get rid of when it's wet. It's a water-soluble product, it's a water-based glue, so just make sure that you have a wet rag hanging around, and that way you can just wipe that off, because once it dries, it is a lot harder to sand off, and if there's any remnants of it when it's dry that you don't get off, it's not gonna accept the stain the same way that the wood does, and it's gonna end up kind of sticking out like a sore thumb, and then you're gonna have to strip the whole thing, and you don't wanna do that, okay? So now I'm gonna go ahead, same thing, but now obviously I have a little bit more support under me. I'm just gonna run the bead of glue here. And I'm just gonna put this guy right here and start from one side. Perfect. So now you can kind of see that this is somewhat coming together, okay? But I do need my side pieces. So you can take this if you want. You kind of have to manipulate it in just because the wood curves a bit on this here. You can stick this right in if you want, and then you can go ahead and you can make your mark, right? So you know where you're gonna be cutting. Or you can go ahead, you can take your measuring tape and you can get an exact measurement, which on here is 3 and just over 1/4, okay? And then you can go ahead and measure that on your piece of wood, and then you're gonna go ahead on the miter saw and cut yourself 2 pieces like this. Okay, so look at this, guys. So this is a knot right here that's come loose. And if you just pull that out, see that? Do you know what that is? That is a tree branch. That's what a knot is. So it's actually where the branches are coming out from the tree. So that right there is a little branch that was growing out of this tree. Okay, so we want to obviously slide these down, make sure that they make a good fit. But before we actually go ahead and nail them in, I'm going to take a little bit of glue and I'm just going to run a little bead up each side. Okay. And that way, this has also got some glue in there. Okay. And then as you can see, I'm going to go ahead, make sure that this is nice and flush. Flip her over. Okay. Same thing here. So it's a little bit out here, so I'm just going to push her in. And this side here, it can be pulled out a little bit, so you can manipulate it, especially when it's pine, because it's a softer wood. If it was maple or something harder, you would have a very hard time doing that. So you have to be a lot more precise when it comes to prepping with hardwoods, because there's not a really big margin for error. Technical, you can go ahead, you can measure this last piece here, which is just over 29. You can find the center, you can get all technical if you want. I'm not going to, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of eyeball it. I'm going to go here. I want one at each end. Okay, and then I'm going to take my countersink, my drill, and I'm going to pre-drill where I want these guys to go. Okay, so literally I'm going to put the drill bit on, pull, and sink it in. It's only going to go as far as this countersink will allow you to go, which is going to make this nice little pocket hole, okay? Then I'm going to take these guys, clean my workspace a little bit there, and I'm going to screw them on, okay? So I'm not going to be gluing and shooting these, I'm going to be screwing them. So again, I'm just going to go into my little part here, with this flush, just until it's nice and tight. You can feel when it secures. Okay guys, so we lost the video for where I was cutting the little nubs that you're seeing me attach here, the little 2x2s. So I just wanted to let you know, for this specific measurement, I cut 3 of these 2x2s at 2 1/4, and I'm just attaching them, as you can see. Flip this in, again, because it's such a nice tight, snug fit, I'm gonna have to kind of pull it a little bit, give it a little assistance. But I do want to pull it out just a bit. That way, and I want you guys to come closely. You're gonna see, now I know that I'm gonna have to pre-drill here, and I'm gonna have to pre-drill here. Okay? So I'm gonna take my countersink, I'm gonna go ahead. Okay? So now what's gonna happen, guys, is you're gonna take this bracket. So what's gonna happen next, guys, is now you have your bracket. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go over to wherever it is that you're gonna hang it. You're gonna find where your studs are, because your studs might not be perfectly like here and here, which would be ideal if you're going to hang it. Maybe the studs are here and here where it is that you're hanging it, right? So if I was gonna hang it, let's say on this wall, and the stud was here and here, then I'm gonna go ahead and pre-drill here and here. That way I'm hitting the studs, right? You're not gonna see this at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter. You wanna just make sure that you're getting as much support for yourself as possible. If you don't have any studs, use the best possible plugs that you can, okay? And then just mark it out, and obviously then you can just put them wherever you want, okay? So I'm gonna put this on the wall first. You can put a level on top to make sure that, you know, this is level when you put it on the wall. Once this has been secured on the wall, you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna slide your shelf over it until it gets to the very back, and then you're going to drill down with a screw through these pilot holes that we've made on the top, which are then going to go ahead and fasten into these brackets that we have here. And then your shelf is secured on the wall. Now, some people have said, well, now there's these holes in the top or in the bottom. There's really nothing you can do about them. If you want, you can fill them afterwards, or maybe just take a small paintbrush with the stain that you used and filled them up. But at the end of the day, this is a shelf. You're supposed to be putting things on it. So you're not gonna see those. And I always say to people, if the shelf's gonna be lower, then put the holes on the bottom, because it's unlikely that somebody's gonna be sitting under the shelf. If the shelf is higher, then put them on the top, because you're not gonna see them, okay? So that's the best way to mount these. So what I'm gonna do now, guys, is I'm gonna go ahead, finish this up. I'm sure you don't really need to watch me do that, but I'm gonna take my orbital sander that you've seen in the other videos, get myself a new piece of sandpaper. And I'm gonna go ahead, clean this right up, get ready for finish. Okay, so once it's done, I'm gonna go ahead and stain it. You guys can finish this however you like. You can stain it, leave it bare. You can go ahead and do a stain, paint, distress application if you like, however it is that you wanna do them. You can even do like an ombre shelf effect if you're gonna have like 3 of them in a row. But really you can have fun with these. You can even use them on a ceiling if you want and make them more boxy instead of more rectangular, more of like a boxy type size, and you can strut those up all on a ceiling and make some faux beams. So these are really great. You can use them for a lot of different applications, and I hope that this video helped you today. Stay tuned. We're gonna have some other tutorials that we're gonna be posting over the weekend. There's some other polls that have been up. And again, I do have some take-home kits now that can be shipped directly to your home, and they include the paint, they include the sandpaper, everything you need except for the tools, so that you can go ahead and make these safely at home. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and take care and have a great and happy Easter.